Every move explained by a Grandmaster. That's me. Last Sunday I played a game in the Danish League in a very, very hectic time where I was moving on Saturday and had to move out on Monday, and my car broke down, and we also had some sound problems, so we had to skip the video. But here it is, and it's a new series where I try to explain every move and how I think about it, psychological, tactical, and positional considerations. I played against Viktor Haarmak Nielsen, who is a young man with rating around 2300. He is a decent player, but of course I should know more in all areas of the game. I had done zero preparation for this game because I simply didn't have time. So what do I do when I have zero preparation? I play knight f3. It's often a good move against young players because they try to do the same with black as they do against c4 or d4 or something, and then they will get a slightly worse version. So that's the idea. Also, the many different kind of transformations, transposing things, seems to favor the older player. So knight f3, very flexible move, and d3. My aim is of course to fianchetto the bishop here, and d6. And I actually didn't know what he did against d4 or e4 or c4. I have not looked at it. But I expect him to be a King's Indian or Grinfell player. And this is the so-called double fianchetto. So I'm just playing in a very sort of hyper-modern fashion, waiting to see if I can get some concessions before I advance in the center. And he of course fianchetto the bishop. I go here before he gets to play something like this or something and threaten this diagonal here. Castle, bishop d2, also very logical move. There's no other good space for that bishop, and I'm ready to castle. And I might go with c4 or d4. I don't know. If he plays d6, I will go d4. If he goes c4, I would probably c5. I would probably play c4. He plays d5. Which seems to indicate that he is a Grinfell player, because King's Indian player, they usually don't like to play d5. c4 is a nice move, preparing to take here and get a sort of Sicilian structure, which I kind of like, especially if there's no danger to my king. That's the only problem with the Sicilian, is that your king can get into trouble. And he plays c6. He said something like that, that he knew that probably this structure, if he managed to play this move and here, is supposed to be good for black. But I think here this move has done pretty well for white. So that was also my idea to play this way. So c6. Castle. And by the way, I think I decided long ago that castle was a little bit imprecise. But the idea is that the best move is probably to play d3 and on bishop d4 to have knight b d2. So I will be able to take back with a knight on f3. And by the way, he's not so unhappy to exchange this bishop because it's very difficult for it to do anything. It's running into a wall of pawns here. But I also knew that he probably wouldn't play bishop d4 because I had a feeling he didn't know this kind of position. So, and if he doesn't play bishop d4, then it's not a problem to play castle first. So that's why I played castle first, because it's much more flexible. Now I have the chance to play both d4 and d3, so there's no reason to play d3 if he doesn't play bishop d4, and I didn't think he would play bishop d4, and he didn't play bishop d4, so I was correct. a5, that is a very natural move. He's basically threatening a4, trying to develop some play on the queen side, and my original idea against a5 was actually to play knight c3. The idea being that that if, for instance, something like this, then I would go here, and I think I'm probably better here. I think this looks good for white, because this knight is not in any danger, and at the moment, and I sometimes can even play this, and it seems like black's position is in some trouble. This pawn is also hanging, so he has to probably play knight e8, which does not look very inspiring, just going back just to be able to defend your pawn. But the problem with knight c3 is this move, which unlocked this bishop, and it seemed to me that black is probably fine here, and has no problem. It looks also very active and logical, and also keeping this knight doesn't know where it's going anyway. So instead I played a3, which seems a bit weird. The idea is if you go here, I would take here and follow with b4, and this pawn will be weak. So that's the idea. I was a little afraid of going b4 without having because he might take on c4 or something, and didn't look that good. So and here he played this move, and this might be a little bit suspicious. It's blocking in this bishop, and I'm not sure I like this move. It doesn't fit well with a5, and this was sort of what I was hoping for, that he would somehow make natural good moves that didn't fit very well together. So these subtle problems that you might face in some variation is what I'm after here. So knight bd7, d3. By the way, I like setup like this with white. d3. I'm not going to play d4 because he would just put his knight here and on play a4 or something, and it's this square will be weak. So I'm overprotecting this square with both pawns, and trying to keep my structure correct. Rook e8. The idea behind this move is, of course, very clear. He wants to build a center to get some space, but there's a problem here. This plan is pretty good, and especially after d3 in general, but with these moves inserted, it's not that good, because after this move, and he doesn't want to take now because that would be a really nice Sicilian-like structure for white. Here it makes a lot of sense, knight c3, and here we see the problem with a5, this square. So how big a problem is it? It's actually kind of a big problem, because this knight you cannot get rid of it. It's really in your face on this. And by the way, sometimes it can even go to this square. So I was starting to be a little bit happy. In general, when black gets to play this, he's fine, because he's actually almost playing like white, where he has 4 rows versus 3 rows. But here with the knight on b5, that's not so clear. This knight will be a really nuance for black. Knight b8, rook c1, looks very natural, and also I didn't want to play knight b5 here due to this move, and it's a little bit annoying, right? So playing rook c1 first, and if I'm threatening this move, and if he plays bishop here, then there is this square for the knight. Knight c6, knight b5. I was also looking at knight a4, but knight b5 seems much stronger. Also because this bishop, well, maybe he should go here and just try and exchange it or something. I don't know. e5, and this knight is now really annoying for black, but he does have more space and so on. And I here played a little bit strange move, a4, giving away this square, but this square is only weak if it can be utilized, and it cannot be at the moment because, of course, e5 is hanging, but also this problem. So and this also makes sure that this knight is defended before it is attacked, which is sort of a prophylactic approach, which you probably, if you follow GM Talks, you will know that this is one of the things I'm sort of interested in. Bishop h6. I had not seen this move. It was a surprise, and I thought it was a pretty good move because if I play the rook somewhere, it doesn't have any good squares on the c file. Neither this square, or this square looked very tempting. So, but okay, what about e3? I'm starting to calculate here. e3, and black's idea must be to play d4. But what if I just sacrifice the exchange? So I started to calculate, and I decided, this must be good. By the way, I like exchange sacrifices in general. So the idea here, I have not checked this with computer, is that if he goes d4, trying to give me some sort of weak pawns here, I would just play this move. And after something like this, I would take back with the bishop. Not trying to win a pawn. I could change my mind, but that was my plan. Oops, not this move. This move makes no sense. This move maybe, and I thought something like this looked very nice. I have a very strong bishop and an excellent knight here. And the queen is coming, and the rook might be coming here. And overall, I really like this for white. Even though I'm the exchange down, I think white has fantastic compensation. Especially this black holes here, they are very difficult to sort of repair. But and I think Viktor said that he didn't like that for black, so he decided to go back here. But he's spending a lot of time, and white is fully developed and very active. So how to proceed here? The plan was always to go d4, so I did that. The idea, of course, I'm attacking here. He could take, but then he will get an isolated pawn, and I will still be more active. Usually, when you have an isolated pawn, you're compensated with free piece play. This is not the case in this particular situation. Here, white is more active and has better places and better pawn structure. So this was always the idea. And then, of course, here, very nice active knights here on these two squares, and blacks is under a lot of pressure, especially at the moment in the c file. And but yeah, that's this move. The problem with that, it looks, I kind of like these kind of moves with the rook up this way. It's like when you start playing chess, you do it like that. Anyway, this was is a nice way to defend knight, but the knight still can't move because this move still forks two rooks here. So it's not so simple. And here I was thinking about if I wanted to play positionally or aggressively, and I decided to go for the aggressive option. I could play f4, which is the positional option. Then he does not have to take, and I have to decide if that structure is good for me. I decided it was good for me, but I also decided that opening the f file was even more forceful. Just trying to, well, slam dunk his position immediately. So f3, getting ready to open here. I couldn't see anything. This does not work. I just take back, and the knight is coming here, and there's basically no compensation. So he has to take, and that was not the plan. Queen takes, and I'm threatening here, and he cannot take again because this also extends all the way to f7, bishop g7. And here, of course, I'm extremely active. I have rooks on the open file, I have bishop pointing toward the center, I have two dominating knight, and I have some places to attack, but it's not a knockout blow yet. So I was just sort of feeling my way, and I felt that this looked good. And I don't know why, but there are of course some X-rays effect with something like this, because the knight might be hanging. I have to be careful. After bishop e6, I'm not threatening to go to c7 anymore, because something like knight c7 is probably forced by this, because f7 is now covered here by the bishop. So, but what then? Well, when you look at the position, you suddenly realize that, okay, all of white's pieces are very active. All of black's pieces are kind of passive. And this is the big problem for black. How can he improve his position? I couldn't find a way for him to improve his position. So I said, okay, what if I just improve mine? Then he will have some problems in the future. So h3, just no nonsense, just getting ready to push this, get a little bit more space, and putting this into the equation that this sometimes, I'm not sure I'm going to play it, but just to be able to play it. Also here, I already sense that probably he will play something like queen b8, and sometimes he would take the queen here, and it would be nice to take back with the pawn and then push his bishop back. And this is exactly what happens. After queen b8, I couldn't find any move for him here. There's no way to sort of he can't move any of his pieces. Well, he could play this, but it makes no sense. But the rest is, if he moves any of the other pieces, he's probably losing material. He could play this move, but then I move my queen back in the ever, and he just have to go back, I guess. So queen b8, d4, just and now I finally took away this square. I might be threatening something with knight c7 at some point. Rook c8, also kind of the only moves, but after this move, which was also my planned move, because I got an eye on this square, and I don't want him to be able to exchange too many pieces, because I have a big space advantage in this case. So just keeping it would be very nice for me. He takes, take. And here he has to find something else, but white is of course clearly for choice. This one is coming and it's not clear, and this might also be coming. This is probably a bigger problem. I'm not sure how he's going to defend anything here. So he played 94, which in sort of a time trouble, which is losing on the spot. It looks natural to try and open for this one, but the problem is way too late. And after this move, which was also a clear part of the plan, pushing his bishop back. By the way, also opening the g-file, which might be helpful for white later, but it's not necessary because I'm winning all over the board, and he has to go back. And just taking this one that was covering this square, so I'll be able to play this move, attacking this one and attacking this one, and by the way also attacking this one, and everything is falling for poor black player here. He has to do something with the bishop. I don't know what, because if he moves it here, I would take and play knight d7. So something like this is just losing, and I'll take this one and win another piece, or win a piece. And so after this move, he played rook d8, and I can just play this move, attacking the rook. And when the rook moves, I just go back. So and attacking this one, and none of them are defended, and they can't. Well, he could defend one of them, but then he will just lose the exchange. So here Viktor gave up, and And I hope this was an interesting way of trying to explain every move I made. The way the game went was very satisfactory. This is how I hoped it would go, that you just make a mess of your opponent's position and so on. Thank you for watching. This was DM Talks, and I hope I have solved the problem with the sound. Maybe it's too loud now. And please bring a comment if there is any problems with it. Thank you for watching.